Okay, speaking of good girls and bad girls, Sex in the City.
Yeah.
How did that the pilot directing the pilot, I know, I think you mentioned in the book that you didn't know what it was going to be. I guess how could you? Like with
Yeah.
Desperately Seeking Susan, you don't know what it's going to become. How did
Yeah.
that come to you? How did you end up directing? You directed the first four, right?
No, I directed the pilot and then I directed two of the other episodes, but all in season one. And what
Oh,
was interesting about season one, which I think is the grittier season, the grittiest
yeah, for
season of
sure.
Sex and the City, was that the majority of the directors were female. There were three of us. There was Nicole Holofcener.
Yeah.
There was a woman named Allison McLean and myself. But what happened basically was, you know, I guess it was my agent. I don't remember who it was exactly, but somebody sent me this script. And I had heard of Darren Star. I mean, I knew he had done Melrose Place and worked on, Beverly Hills as a whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't really watch those films. At this point, I was, I don't know if I was in my early 40s or whatever, but those weren't the TV shows I was watching. But I knew that they were popular, so I had heard of him. And when I got the script to direct a TV pilot, I wasn't super excited because I really liked making movies more than at that time. Um, the thought of doing a TV project. But I read the script and I was blown away. It was quite simply that, I read the script. I thought it was so smart, so funny, so different than the way I had seen female characters portrayed in TV shows before, that I said I just knew I wanted to do it. Had no idea it would be a success, but just that the story was compelling, and the writing was good, and the characters were bold. And so anyway, so we said a phone call was set up by, I guess, one of our agents, and it was pretty quick phone call. We chatted. I think had been a fan of Desperately Seeking Susan. Basically, I told him I liked the script. He said, "You want to direct it?" I said yes, and that's how it happened. And making that was an incredible experience, because my goal, and I told him this right from the start, was to try to make it like a film. So he was on the same page, and fortunately we hired um, a movie DP, a guy named Stuart Dryberg, who had done the movie The Piano, which was an amazing movie directed by Jane Campion, who wasn't a TV director. The director of the production designer was also a movie guy who had worked with Mira Nair on some of her films. So the sense that I had was I was making a movie. It was just shorter.
Yeah.
And one of the actors from Smithereens, Chris Knopf, was in
Yeah, Chris.
Sex and the City. Was that just a happy accident, or how did that come together? How'd that
No,
happen?
I had bumped into him once or twice in New York, but in Smithereens, Chris Knopf has a cameo as a
Just
hooker
okay.
in a dress. And you know, it was fun because I remember when I was given the script, some of the women had already been cast. Sarah Jessica Parker was involved early on. Uh, uh, Kristen Davis was, I guess, Darren knew her from Melrose Place, and Kim Cattrall. Actually, I had auditioned her years before for Desperately Seeking Susan,
Oh,
but
interesting.
Darren had already cast her. So the two uncast roles, major roles, were Miranda and Mr. Big. And so I was involved in the casting conversations for those. And of course, in the script, I remember it described Mr. Big as an Alec Baldwin lookalike or something like that, or an Alec Baldwin type at that time. um, and I remember Chris came in to audition. We chatted because we knew each other, and I was glad that ultimately, he felt right for that role.
Any of those roles, it's hard to envision anybody else in now. It's so, iconic.